Welcome to Earthly Vision. My name is Ralph Ivory. I am the host. The show is produced by David from White Griffin, and my day's guest is Abbie Graber, and she's the maker of the Woodstock Zoo right here in Woodstock.
Woodstock Wooden Kazoo.
Woodstock Wooden Kazoo. Earthly Vision views artists and artisans who have experienced things in their life vision and so forth. Abbie, would you tell us a little about your vision and your quest?
Yeah, I just it's kind of an interesting life story. I grew up in Monticello. My father was a hard-working construction man building the bridges out west of Monticello, all along Route 17 on the way to Binghamton. And during those years, they developed a little restaurant. We had a little bar and grill, so I grew up singing in front of the jukebox, becoming a pool shark and a pinball wizard, and learning how to cook some good fried chicken in the basket. So I had a pretty good life. My father he was a builder. He built the 3 houses we ever lived in. And also he built a bungalow colony that we had right on our property, Graber's Lazy Lane, an appropriate title. But anyway, so he built the bungalows and an in-ground swimming pool. So as a kid, I had it pretty much made. I had my own restaurant, my own candy counter, my own jukebox, and my own swimming pool. So I was pretty well set, And over the years, the restaurant business, they got more interested in doing antiques. They started incorporating antiques into the restaurant. And over the years, the restaurant business sort of fizzled out, and they went strictly into antiques. And I grew up, I spent more of the later part of my early teenage years, 14, 15, in auction houses and watching my mom pick out beautiful antiques, and she ran a beautiful antique shop. She was mostly into Victorian antiques. And consequently, further down the road in my current life, I am an auctioneer locally at antique auctions, and that's a whole lot of fun. Being a singer and having the knowledge of antiques, it sort of goes together. So it's very easy for me to just take a piece and say, I don't know, should be worth about a $30 bill. I'll take 20 now, 22 and a half now, 25 and now, 27 and a half and a $30 bill and 32 and a half. And it just goes on like that. And when I look out in the audience, all I see are smiling faces. They are really enjoying themselves as I am. So the auctioneering just was an offshoot of life's experiences. And so right now I have settled back in Woodstock, and that's a whole long story in itself.
Okay, so let me ask you, when you were a young kid growing up in your dad's restaurant, your mom and dad, and before you started playing music, what actually sort of led you there to play guitar and so forth?
Well, my mom had a great voice. Her only sister, in fact, was a semi-professional opera singer in New York. My father's family was a big family from the Bronx, and word has it that they, as a young family, they were on the radio back in the day when families did that. So I did come from a family that was musically inclined. And I remember as a kid in the old bar and grill, used to be a real old country dude used to come in, Alvin, and my father would say, Abbie, go get your guitar, and Alvin would play old Hank Williams songs, and he was really good. And it's just there was always a lot of music that my mother she had a great voice. And I learned what happened is that as a big kid, I was kind of a little bit of a loner. Plus we lived out in the country. My nearest neighbor was a half a mile away. So you get real used to hanging out with yourself or your dog and taking walks in the woods and this and that. But once I got really into high school and I started getting more of my own little personality going, I noticed that my voice really brought people to me. If I sang, it gave people a reason to soften up to me, to love me more. And so, singing was a big saving grace for me. Even in college, I would sing everywhere I go. I had a professor tell me, Abbie, I always know where you are because I can hear you singing all over campus. And that just brought a lot of love into my life. I often kid around that I'll make a sign, we'll sing for love. And that still is true today. There's a lot of unhappy people in the world, and I realize that when I sing, it cheers them up, it brings them around, it makes them want to talk to you, and
when I first heard you sing, I was at the flea market. Now, it was flea market, and I had never met you, and I heard this voice, and when I got there, you were playing guitar, and this group of people around you. So after that, in my mind sync, you're always known as the lady with the voice. And when I got back, I would tell my friends about this wonderful person I had met and the great voice she had. And I would always refer to you as the lady with the voice. And then when I heard that you were even going to do some gospel singing with a group, that was just even great. So I want to congratulate you on that, and I'll let you go ahead.
I was just invited last Sunday to be part of a gospel Sunday brunch, a benefit for family in the battered women's shelter, and it was just off the cuff, and I got to play with musicians that I never played with before, but it was just a beautiful moment, singing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. But after I got to the end of the line, I once was blind, but now I see. It just turned into a whole testimonial with the music, and it was a free-flowing, it was just the most amazing moment. It went on for about 10 minutes, and just free-flowing testimonial with the music, to the music of Amazing Grace. And, that is the joy of my life, that I've gotten so far. My voice has just carried me and opened up so many doors that it really does. It brings people into my life. If they had no reason to talk to me or to correspond with me, the voice gives them a door. It gives them a door into my life. And I see how it really touches people's lives.
Right. I also understand that, unfortunately, you had hardship when you were a young girl. You experienced, the death of your mother and father. And how did that affect you in singing? Did they give you more courage? Would you like to talk about that?
Oh boy, they say what doesn't kill you strengthens you. And the death of my father, which I experienced firsthand, we were in a terrible car accident, and my mother was trapped under the burning truck, and my father lay dead on the ground. I was the first one to stand over him, and I was the only one to stand up in the accident. And right then and there, you know what hit my heart, Ralph? No one knew my father. He was a great man, he was a great builder, and he was just a workhorse. And everyone loved him. Everyone could count on my father, Murray. When I stood over him at 16 after coming out of the accident, just me, my mother, my father, in my heart, I knew he was dead looking at him, but in my heart, I told myself, and I told him, the whole world's going to know me. I don't know how, when, or for what. They didn't know you, but the whole world's going to know me, and I'm going to work my life. I'm going to work hard to do something. Like I said, I didn't know for what, for where, when, what, but I knew that I was going. My goal in life was to do something great, to leave a legacy. I know I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I don't have any children to even talk about me when I'm gone. So I have to create that while I'm alive, so that after I pass, I will have made a mark on this world to make it a better place. And that was my ultimate goal when I stood over him.
I understand. I also always felt that we're all famous in our own way.
Yeah.
And we always get recognition from friends and friends of friends that we don't even know when we're gone. So I don't think you would have to worry about that. And it's great that you still honor your father, and you try to make sure that the world knows who he was. I give you credit for that too. I appreciate that.
When I'm in my at my bench, my hobby and a little side business is making these wonderful wooden kazoos. And when I'm at my bench and I'm making these, it takes about a month to get a finished product, and I can feel my father's energy, all his skill and his knowledge coming right through my hands. I watch my hands work, and I know that it's, you know, it's because of my parents, their hard work and their dedication to everything that they touched. My father always told me, if you're going to do a half-assed job, don't do it. And so I live my life like that. I've done steel sculpture. I've, you know, from the sculpture to the singing to anything and up to the kazoos. Everything takes time. Like they say, if it's worth doing, it takes time.
Right.
Nothing is quick. There's no quick solutions. There's no quick money-making schemes. There's no quick artwork. Everything takes time if it's worth something. So these are my wonderful kazoos, and it goes a little bit like this. I got the blues. You know, just a little sampling, but you know, I love these things.
And you make that was one of your designs,
I
right?
absolutely do. I make them right here in Woodstock. I have a little shop across the street from the Playhouse, tucked around the back. And I do most all the work there. The only thing there is not the table saw. But, you know, you can come in, you can see me working, and I'll always play you a song and get you going.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Also, you were telling me that you do sculpture, and then one of your big projects was you wanted to send a gift to a couple artists. You want to tell us about that?
You know, having grown up in the bar and grill and in front of the jukebox we listened to, it was all full of country music. And years back when I heard over the radio that Waylon Jennings had died, it really hit me. It was like, see, Abbie, these guys are not going to live forever. If you want to tell them that they inspired you and your voice and your freeness and singing and your spirit, you got to do it soon, because they live a hard life. They are on the road, they're always moving, and you got to tell them before they're gone. So I ended up calling up Hank Williams Jr., Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson, and I asked them. I told them I was a sculptor from New York, and that I wanted to give them a piece, and each and every one of them said, send it. They wanted it. They were going to make room for it in their office. So now I have a piece in Hank Williams Jr.'s office. I have a piece in the House of Cash in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Hank's office, of course, is in Paris, Tennessee. And I have a piece in the Willie Nelson Museum just on the outskirts of Opryland on McGavick Avenue, a big museum of his. So, you know, the beauty in all that is that I made something happen from nothing. It started with a thought. I want to do that. Figured out how I could do it. I don't know, a CD and a phone number, and from there it just snowballed into, you know, the fact that I made it happen. I did the work, and I worked for a couple months to get everything set, the pieces, the pedestals, the crates. I wrote a song about it. I sent it to him. I actually even did get to meet and hug Hank Williams Jr. at the Johnny Cash Memorial that they had at the Ryman shortly after their death. So, you know, nothing is for naught. Everything, you can't get to the top but for one step at a time. So it's just the courage. The courage is taking the next step, not knowing what it's going to bring. It might bring failure. It might knock you down a couple steps, but to take the next step and keep it going. Right. And I feel like right now I'm just, boy, I feel like I'm just right where I want to be, and I've come through so many tragedies, and you know, with each tragedy comes a blessing. So through tragedies and blessings, I have arrived, and the kazoos was one of the last things on the bucket list. You know, I had done steel sculpture, my voice had been accomplished. You know, I wanted to make these kazoos for over 30 years that I've been playing it, and finally life afforded me the time and the energy and the space to do it. And now I'm #1 kazoo maker in the world. #1 wooden kazoo maker in the world. John Sebastian has been in my shop 5 times. We just did a photo shoot. His wife was gracious enough to come and do photographs of me and John. John loves the kazoos. He thinks they're the greatest. I've been up to Levon Helm's Ramble 3 times. Levon came out and gave me a kiss. He loved his kazoo so much. Leon Russell, when he came to Bearsville, absolutely loved his kazoo, was wailing on it in the bus. Maria Muldaur, Wavy Gravy, pulled his out on the Jimmy Fallon show for his 75th birthday a couple months ago. So through the kazoos, that's a door. You know, doing sculpture is a very solitary business. No one wants to come to visit you when you're a welder. You know, and this and that. But the kazoos, it opens the doors for me to meet all the people that gave me the voice and the courage to sing the way I do. And I get to meet them, and I get to give them a little gift. They've given me so much a part of them. Now I get to give them a little part of me.
Speaking of voice, now I know that there was a choir group that asked you to sing, and they produced an album, and you're on it now. How did that make you feel?
Wow, I'm not even sure which one that is, Ralph.
There's so many.
Well, I was in a couple choirs, and I'm really not sure exactly which one that you're referring to.
I think it was about 2 years ago. It might have been a ladies' choir or something. I was talking to you.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about which one that is. I can't pinpoint what exactly you're referring to.
Okay.
But you know, every time I sing, even when I'm at the flea market or whatever, you know, people are always asking me, "Do you have a CD?" You know, or one man was so nice. After he graciously bought one of my kazoos, he said, "Next year, have a CD I could buy." Yeah. So I know people want me to do that, and that's, you know, everything takes time, and you got to make all the connections, and that is my next project, is to get my voice. I have a gracious, very great guitar player, Chris Gilley. He works at the Woodstock, the health food store Sunflower here. He's the greatest guitar player. So now that I have a great accompanist, I do want to get that CD made. And I did have a previous CD where I did, you know, about 7 or 8 gospel songs, and maybe that's what you were.
Actually, I think Michael and his wife
that's right. Maybe that's what you're referring to. Yeah, that was fun, and that was done in a very small little recording studio in a church, where the woman said, "Abbie, we have 2.5 hours to do this." I had 12 songs planned. We did lay down 7, but it was a nice effort, and I think it was a good piece of work for the 2 hours that we had. So.
All right, now you were telling me that you had one song that you're writing. It was a special song. It had to do with the tragedy and so forth. I was wondering if you would like to play it, or, you know,
sure.
It's up to you.
Sure. It's a little bit on the long side, but I'll just go through some of the key verses.
Alrighty.
And this, when I sent Hank, Willie, and Johnny each a sculpture, that was, they told me I needed both my knees replaced. And I was feeling like, oh my God, I may never do sculpture again. And also I was having, my heart was doing little funny things, and I thought I might die on the table. I don't know. And then that's when I heard about Waylon passing, and it lit a fire underneath me to send these guys a sculpture, to let them know what they meant in my life. And I meant to just write each of them a letter, telling them the story about how I was in a terrible car accident, and I stood over my dead father when I was 16. And I know Hank sings a lot of songs, you know, "My daddy died when I was 3, Mama didn't rock me on her knee." So in that spirit of, you know, down home reality in country songs, you know, the letters became a song, you know. It kind of started out, it was a true story about the accident. I was sweet 16 back in 73, nearly lost my life, heading down the interstate, I-95, suddenly a tire blew. I haven't sung it in a long time, but here's the chorus. Thank you, Hank. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Johnny Cash. Thank you all for the spirit in your song and how you passed it along. You showed the whole world what it means to really follow your heart. every now and then carry on my name. I've been a baker, a boiler maker, a trucker and a fool. I'm pretty good with a hammer and nails, and I can sing you some blues. But when I build a sculpture of welded steel, I know that sucker's gonna last. It's gonna be around a long, long time to carry on my name. Man of steel, man in black, and that red-headed stranger. You'll be a legend till the end of time. I'm just one in my mind. So here's to you, a piece of me. I made it straight from my heart. Say my name every now and then. Carry on my name. Has a lot more verses, but the gist of the song is, don't forget Miss G.
All right. That's good. Tell me, growing up in Monticello, now that you're living around Woodstock, has Woodstock itself helped influence you anyway to carry on
you
your
know,
mission?
There's nothing like getting out of your own hometown. You know, in your own hometown, you're limited. People
That's
don't
true.
picture you as anything great. You're this one's daughter, that one's neighbor, this one's sister. You never can be just you.
Right.
So, you know, unfortunately, how I got back to Woodstock in 2002 is that a tractor trailer with 7,000 live chickens crashed into my house in Monticello, the one that my father built. Back in 2003 is when the crash happened, and consequently I had to move. 10 months into my recovery of both knee replacements. It's kind of bad timing for a tractor trailer, but like I said, out of every tragedy comes the blessing. And the blessing was that I got to move. I had to move. And I thought, well, I'll either move back to New Paltz, where I went to college, or Woodstock, where I have a lot of history. I had a one-woman sculpture show many years, 87 at the Artists Association, had a lot of connections with Saugerties. So I knew I'd be moving somewhere in that triangle. It ended up that I found a little home over by Opus 40. And you know, after 3.5 years of rebuild, you know, getting that little shanty into a nicer home, putting money into it and doing a lot of the work, you know, I ended up reconnecting with a lot of people in Woodstock, found a woman who gave me a tiny little cubbyhole shop gratis. Thank God she has never charged me a dime for that little shop, otherwise I couldn't have it. I started out as a little antique shop, but then I got kind of bored with that, and I literally sat there one day and I said, Lord, I can't sit here another summer waiting for the public to come in. I can't. What should I do? And all of a sudden I heard, make the kazoos. And I actually looked up to the ceiling and I said, yeah, you think they're ready for it? Yeah? Well, I immediately jumped up and started packing the shelves up. Packed everything up, and I had bought the machines to make the kazoos back in 1999. They were in my studio in Monticello, wrapped in plastic, waiting to go. For 10 years they're waiting. And nearly 10 years, but you know, the thought of making them goes back almost more than 30 years. So when the thought came into my mind, it's time to make the kazoos, I just felt re-energized. And what a perfect place. I mean, yes, I had a vision of making kazoos 30 years ago, but did I ever imagine that I'd be in a free shop in Woodstock, that the whole town would love them, that you know, that I'd become #1 wooden kazoo maker in the world, that I'd be standing next to John Sebastian or getting a kiss from Lee Von Helm. Having grown up in Monticello, Woodstock came through my town in '69. So our lives changed in '69. We went from kind of a Borscht Belt town to where Woodstock came through, and the music, And so little did I know that that little dream blew up into something, a blessing, had so many layers to it of blessings that I could never have imagined. Yes, I wanted a little shop, but did I know I was going to be right in Woodstock and opening on the week of the 40th anniversary of Woodstock? I mean, I couldn't even have dreamed up all that stuff. I mean, that for me, in my life, that's God. Only God could have arranged all that stuff.
It's funny, I think of the poem Chicken Little and the Sky is Falling. Well, the sky fell, now you're blessed.
Exactly.
Really,
really.
That's great.
You have the courage to walk through the dark valley,
right.
You know, to keep going up to that mountaintop. And you know, it's just been a wonderful thing. I really, you know, I just there have been times, Ralph, if you could have seen me after the tractor trailer hit the house, you know, huddled up in a tiny little apartment with the same truck zooming by, rattling the next apartment, and, you know, crying and just feeling like, oh my God. I mean, you know, I felt like I didn't know if I'd ever come out of it. Mentally, physically, my knees replaced, and homeless, and my family didn't really, you know, they came by, good luck with that, and left. And I've always, you know, I laid in that bed crying, and my family didn't know how much I've been through, what I've accomplished. And I was really, you know what, I don't care. God knows what I've been through. God knows what I've plowed through. And the blessing has been amazing. And now I just feel, you know, you don't want to jinx things, but I feel like I'm sort of at the top of my game.
Alrighty. Would you like to play another song, or you know, you can?
I have a little bit, as you can tell. I have a little hoarse throat. And I do have a beautiful guitar player that plays with me these days. For me to play the guitar a little bit right now is a little bit of a struggle. I did some damage to my shoulder recently. It's a little bit hard for me to cradle that guitar. But, you know, I certainly could probably just sing you something.
Go right ahead.
You know, you know, I've been doing a lot of the old standards with my guitar player, and I certainly wish he was here today. But we love to do songs like, I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, Lord, you know I'm one. Well, I'll be standing on that corner, 12th Street and Vine. I'll be standing on that corner, 12th Street and Vine. I'll have my Kansas City baby and a bottle of Kansas City wine. Well, I might hop a train, I want to catch that plane. Anyway, babe, I want to get there just the same. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, Lord, you know I'm one.
All right.
We have fun.
Okay, I want to thank you for stopping by today, and maybe you can come back again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anytime.
At this moment, I want to thank the audience for tuning in. I also want to thank Dave for having us at his studio and so forth. I appreciate that. And stay tuned again for maybe part 2.
I hope
Alrighty.
so. Thanks, Ralph.
All right, thank you.
You're a
It's
good
nice
friend,
having
man.
You. Ready?
Thank you, Hank. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Johnny Cash. Thank you all for the spirit in your song and how you passed it along. You showed the whole world what it means to really follow your heart. Say my name every now and then, carry on my name. I've been a baker, a boiler maker, a trucker and a fool. I'm pretty good with a hammer and nails, and I can sing you some blues. But when I build a sculpture of welded steel, I know that sucker's gonna last. It's gonna be around a long, long time to carry on my name. Man of Steel, Man in Black, and that red-headed stranger. You'll be a legend till the end of time. I'm just one in my mind. So here's to you, a piece of me. I made it straight from my heart. Say my name every now and then. Carry on my name. Has a lot more verses, but the gist of the song is, don't forget Miss G.
All right. That's good. Tell me, growing up in